One. We are live. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome into the Rippily Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. As always, I am thrilled to be with you all today. And today feels like a big one because not only are we closing out our Design Principles series for the month of April, but we are doing it with someone who I am so excited to have in this space with us. Coach Debbee Jeter is here, everybody. We are so excited. So, if you don't know Debbee yet, you're about to. But let me just say this. When we talk about building with intention, we talk about building with clarity, we talk about creating something that actually works and lasts. This is someone who truly embodies that. You can check out more of her work at simplifywithdebbie.com. But today, you get to experience her live with us in the studio. Now, over the last few weeks, we have gone deep. We have talked about user experience, how your space feels when someone walks in. We talked about the host experience, how it functions for you as the host and the moderators behind the scenes. We talked about safety, privacy, and boundaries, how people feel safe enough to actually fully show up, and also how you can feel safe enough with all the legalities of running your own business and or community online. And today we're going to zoom out a little bit because now the question becomes, why are you building this at all? Not just what looks cool, not just what's possible, but what's aligned, what's sustainable, what actually creates connection instead of just attention. When you can build something, it doesn't mean you always should. And the spaces that last, the ones that people return to, they're not always the most complex. A lot of times they're the most intentional. So today we're going to explore that together with someone like Debbee who knows exactly what it means to simplify, align, and build with purpose. In addition, as always, we have our amazing founder of Rippily here with us today. Please welcome back to the show, Claudio Perrone. Welcome, Claudio.
Yay! Hello. Hi, everyone.
Good
Good to
to
see
see
you,
you today.
Jessica.
Today you don't look as if you've been in a dungeon programming Ripley for
Oh,
months.
I'm telling you, I was in the dungeon programming the Rippily. No doubt about that. But yeah,
Got yourself all cleaned up here.
haircut,
And
haircut.
I heard through the grapevine, did you actually get to play some table tennis last week?
Yeah, I very timidly restarted. Like not much, anyways. But I'll do more this week for sure. I'm regaining some life back.
Love it. Love it. Coming up for air a little bit. I think it's a good thing. You really had your nose down for quite some time. And we're certainly grateful that you did because we have an amazing platform to have our communities on. And so we're thankful for that. But we're also thankful that you're taking some time for yourself again in real life. And so um before we get to our topic today, I want to start off by asking if you have some updates to share with us. I know that you have been working on some things behind the scenes with sandboxes and streaks and all of that fun stuff. You want to fill us in?
Yeah, just very quickly, it's a version one, I guess, of the sandbox. And the idea there is that as we launched, and I must say, I'm really happy with the subscriptions that arrived basically, but obviously now people with plans, they have a little bit more limits, and so it was kind of a potentially problematic if someone is really close to their limits, and then they come to like an event, say the Rippily Dive, where you build together like a room, and maybe you don't want to eat into your own plan, especially if it's the last available room that you have basically. And so the sandbox, it's simply a wave, um, a very visible wave, I guess, in the discovery tab that you can find, and you can create one ripple inside that, and that ripple will only last for 48 hours. And so you can go there, play with it. There's very little, if any, limits, and you can just play around with that. And the idea is, it really is ephemeral. It's just a sandbox. It's like you're creating your castle. It's just a sand castle. It won't last, but it allows you to play. So that's one thing, and which we tried last Saturday.
And it is very cool to see. I want to say this behind the scenes of getting to see everybody's. Not everybody gets to see everybody's sandbox, but I get to see it because I taught the dive on Saturday, and it was so cool to get to see what everybody was working on. And so just know that there's going to be some pretty cool things being tested inside the sandbox, and it's a great place to test different things.
Yeah, I mean, people see their own ripple, and you don't have to wait for the dive. You can create it at any time. You can delete it and recreate it. So it's something to play with, and it will improve over time. There will be other features for sure. But yeah, absolutely. As an admin, you see everybody's little sandboxes, right? Which again, like, it's very useful if you're, like in this case, you're doing training and you want to have people basically do their own creations altogether. And the other part is more related to, I mean, I've done a lot of bug fixing, of course, and I will tell you, where my mind is going these days. But aside from the bug fixing, and there's more to come, the other part, we were just talking about that just before the show, which is the streak, right? A lot of people, quite a few people, seem to be very attached to the streak, including myself. But at least I can cheat, right? So it doesn't count as much. But basically, we have a little number, which is our daily streak, which happens every time we go and visit at least one ripple. And so we increase, right, on a daily basis. However, first of all, like in the past, it wasn't clear exactly when that streak would increase, and it used to be like UTC, so like the same for everyone, which doesn't necessarily work really well from time zones. So now it's local to your own time. But more importantly is when you go into a ripple, you have now a check mark inside that appears just to say, okay, you're done for today, at least for that increment. And then there are not that many, but there's a number of milestones. So when you reach a milestone, there will be, confetti is basically, just to
love confetti.
And I know you're going to tell me, oh, when are they supposed to be? But I did some research, and there is a value on not sharing it. I know for sure the first one is 7 days, the next one is a month, but then there's a couple of others, and a little bit further
So
down.
this should encourage everybody to pay attention to when you go to the dashboard and see if anything magical happens when you're there.
And it happens only once, so when you do, make sure that
get that screenshot button ready.
Exactly. Or reset so you can see it every 7 days. What can I say?
There's one way to do it. Come on for 7 days, skip a day, and then come on after that. I think certain people that I know on the audience are saying absolutely not, Claudio.
But there's more down the line potentially. There is this kind of idea. I've done some research, and there is this idea of shields, basically, right? You get an extra pass basically for a day. You need to earn it, obviously, by been there to begin with. But what it means is that it allows you to, let's say, to skip the occasional day if it happens that you don't happen to be on Rippily. So like the shield would save you for a day, basically, something like that. We will see. We will see. It's less pure, but it's also less customer support. Let's be honest here, right? Because when people say, oh, "I miss my, I miss my streak," well, maybe if you earned it, you can get the pass. We will see.
There you go. There you go. Well, and that's what I was saying to Claudio this morning, guys, is that, I currently have and you can take this whatever kind of, I have a 666 day streak on Duolingo at the moment. And it takes me a lot. Like I have to do a lot to earn a streak, like a streak freeze now. And so that's you have to put some effort in though. And I think that's fair to ask. Do you feel like that's fair to ask, that people have to put in effort to freeze their streak or earn a shield?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel it has to be like a work day to earn a, But moving forward, and gamification is more than just badges. That's for sure. And in fact, in the audience, we have Jonathan, who is in Sentential, basically is a super expert on gamification. So I'm sure like it would agree with this. It's definitely not just about the badges, but certainly, it could influence people to maybe earn a badge, not by visiting your own Ripple. Maybe in the future, we could have something where you need to visit somebody else's Ripple, right? So it would maybe help people to discover, new communities, right? Why not? It wouldn't be a bad idea. We will see.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate all the work you continue to do behind the scenes of Rippily. You're still working very hard every day on any bugs that come in. I wanted you to repeat really quick for people, because I think there might have been some people that missed this, but you were sharing about what your policy is when bugs come in. Like how do you get to them right away? Do you put them aside? What is your policy?
Yeah. I don't know if I should share it, but basically a bug is a bug and is a bug, and I have a zero bug policy. What it means, it's not obviously that the software doesn't have bugs. It's more like I don't go into triage at all. I work on a feature. When that feature is done, instead of starting a new feature, I look at the bug list and try to address them all. So the bug list is surprisingly small of open bugs, basically. And it's just like an attitude and approach that I have, that a number of other people have, because the problem is when you start accumulating bugs, they become a liability. You need to do triage. It becomes like a maintenance nightmare. And so that's the approach I take.
Right. And it's not, and I think us talking about this a little bit on the show, it's not about that there's going to be a guarantee that you're going to put the bug report in and it's going to be fixed within 15 minutes. It's more about pointing out what Claudio's, like you said, attitude about it, of going like, these are important. They're important fixes, and you're going to do your best to prioritize getting those done as it works out. And I think that that's, a different mindset than some other developers might have, where it's like, well, we'll get to it when it becomes a real problem, or we'll get to it when we get to it. And so I can appreciate that you prioritize the bugs when they come in.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to say, though, is we have a decent way to track bugs, right, for everyone. There's easy to reach buttons there. And the thing is, like, the better they're written, the better the reports are written, the easier and faster becomes for me to address them, either for me or for the agents. I use AI a lot for the agents, basically, to understand. If I cannot replicate it, it's not going to be fixed. Basically, it's going to be left as is, right?
Right.
So, it pays off, basically, to spend the time to actually really trying to get through what's happening, what's the expectation, the steps, because I know some people, skip all those steps, and then, it happens what it happens. If I cannot replicate it, I'm not going to fix it.
Right. Right. Well, you mentioned earlier one of the amazing people in our audience. And so I wanted to pop over really quickly and say hello to all of the amazing people in our studio audience today. Hello, everybody. Good to
Yay.
see you in the audience. Love having you here. And we've got some new faces with us today and some of our more seasoned faces here, and love that. I'm very excited because sitting to the left of me now is the incredible Coach Debbee Jeter.
Yay, Debbie.
Good to have you here, Debbie. Yes, we love it. I'm so excited. Before we get to have a chat with Debbie, I'm going to head over and launch our first poll to the chat and to the gallery today, as well as our studio audience. What is your primary reason for building a community or space online? Is it to create meaningful connection, to grow an audience or business, to share ideas or creativity, or I'm still figuring that out. And that's okay too, for you to pick that option as well. So definitely take a minute and fill out our poll over in the chat. And we're going to head over and have a little conversation with Miss Debbie as we're waiting for those poll results to come in. So our topic today, Miss Debbie, is all about building with intention, having that longevity in community design. So we're excited to have you chime in on that. How are you today, Miss Debbie?
I am great, and I am so excited to be here. Claudio, thank you for everything that you have done to produce this for us. It's just simply amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love it. And listen, for those of you that haven't had a chance to really get to know Coach Debbee Jeter, Coach Debbee Jeter is a breath of fresh air when she comes into any room, a peaceful, welcoming, gracious energy. And I think that there's a lot to be said for the way that you show up in spaces, Debbie. And I have no doubt that you show up in other people's spaces the way that you lead spaces as well. Would you say that's true?
Yes, thank you. I always believe in making the space that I enter better than how I found it. And so it's just so important to be able to pour into people and to just make them feel great. Because so many times people don't have people that will, or a person that will pour into them or affirm them or say something positive. And so I think that's the minimum thing that we can do when we enter someone else's space.
I love that. I love that. What has been your experience, Claudio, with Debbie so far?
Oh, a breath of fresh air. I mean, seriously, we've been involved in fairly heavy situations from time to time, depending on the topics, and to have Debbie to have her support. I know she's here, so I shouldn't use a third person. So but having you here, Debbie, has been really amazing in really difficult times, I must say. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. I just love being here. I just say if I were to wake up tomorrow and there was no Ripley, how would I feel? And I would be devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We had we've had that conversation. You remember that day that we were all talking about that, Debbie? I think we were in Tanya's space, but we were talking about how would we feel if we got up? And yes, we love the space, but the space, Ripley, is what's given us the opportunity to not just connect with each other, but to connect with each other in a deeper way. And I really think the discoverability part of what you've created here, Claudio, it's made it so much easier and so much more of a welcoming experience to go onto the dashboard and say, oh, there's Debbie. I'm going to go say hi. And that's how Debbie ended up coming to my room. And we hung out for a good hour chit-chatting, and it was lovely. How has your experience been with that, Debbie? Do you feel more free here to be able to pop in and visit people in that way?
I do. And I've done that with, I didn't know Artemis and Shadow as well as I do now. And I just kind of popped into Shadow's room one day and we had such a great time. And so I love being able to do that. You know, you can't do that in the squares. You can only do it in the circles. And so I love it.
Yeah. And Mike actually says it right? The community is more than the platform, right, in itself. As much as you love the platform, I mean, to me, the platform is an enabling constraint, right? So enables certain behaviors. But then in the end, the difference is really like the communities, people like you. I don't know what you do. There is something radiating from you, which, radiates happiness. I would like to know what the secret is there, because I could code it maybe in some way. I don't know.
It's so much easier to be up than it is to be down. I think when you have negative space, it just brings everything around you down. And so I just love being up. It just makes me feel good. When you smile, you can just feel everything inside just lift up. I have to credit Peggy McCartha for just pouring into me and just getting me excited about my possibilities. I went on a vacation and she talks about this, how I built rooms. She said, my poor husband, but it was like just building space because it makes people happy.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I want to go over to our poll results really quick to dive into our conversation. What is your primary reason for building a community or a space online? We had tie 47% each. One was to create a meaningful connection, and the other is to grow an audience or business. And then we had 7% that said, hey, I'm still figuring that out, and that's okay too. So Debbie, I would love to ask you, which one of those was your choice?
I actually picked the first one, because making a connection, I believe I'm a people connector. And so it's all about making that connection, because I believe that the business will come. If a person feels great about the space that they're in, they're going to come back. And so the business part will come. So they kind of work hand in hand.
I agree. And I think that's always been, first for me too. I've told the story several times about how with the Breakthrough Show Network, I never wanted to just put out a bunch of content all the time. I wanted a way for us to connect with each other. The other stuff will come, like you said, but to be able to connect and really create those relationships, get to know each other, hold each other accountable, be that, cheerleader support for each other, I think is so important. Claudio, did you do the poll? Which one did you pick?
Actually, no, I didn't, but I would agree. I mean, I need to serve. I feel I need to serve. Definitely, I'm doing it for connection. But I feel I need to serve everyone there, right? And so one thing is actually to make people as much successful as they can be, right? To really to help them bring the best of their work to the world. And so I need to serve both.
Right. So I know that a lot of people are very excited about building community online, and we don't always necessarily think about the longevity of it. How do we make this last? Is that something that you have thought about in the creation of your community, Debbie? Have you thought about longevity or long-term plans for it?
I have, because I believe that if you build a space or build an area where people come and they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they feel connected, they're going to come back. But I also believe that every 6 months I do a personal assessment of myself and I look at where I am. Am I where I want to be, or am I where I need to be? And so we can always make adjustments. And so I think that you shouldn't, or I wouldn't build something that I believe this is it, this is the end of all, but rather do an assessment from time to time to see what I need to change, what I need to maybe make different. What do I need to make exciting? What do I need to meet the needs of where people are now? And so it is longevity, but it's also building something that's comfortable where people want to come back. They get excited and they want to come back. They love the community. They love the field. They love how people connect with each other. And so I think that both of those, all of those components are important.
I agree. Those two things that you mentioned, I want to go back to the latter one first, which was about the design of the space, and is this a space that people want to come back to? Because that's the topic that we've been focused on for the month of April, is the design, the building of the space. What are those? What are those parts of a space that make you want to come back to a space when you visit?
Well, I'm all about the look. And so I like for it to be vibrant. Thanks to you and to Dr. CK, I've put some fun things in there, some things that people can play with. But it's really the look and the feel and the warmth that's important to me. And so the colors.
Mm.
Does it, when you walk in, or we don't walk in, but when you come in, does it hold your attention? Is it captivating?
Mm.
It's always, I'm a high I personality, in case you can't tell. So it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
Same. And you know what? It's so funny. I have all of those little fidgets in my office that you've gotten to play with. You can feed the bunny, and you can make s'mores, and you can eat the s'mores and do all these things. But I had to also make a button to turn them off. because sometimes we need to focus. Sometimes we need to get down to business, and I love the flexibility that we have in a space like this to say, yes, there is time to see the vibrant colors and to have a really good time together and laugh and cut up and have fun. And there's other times where it's like, okay, we have work to do. We have stuff to get done. And so I know that you've thought about those things in the creation of your spaces as well. Claudio, when you think about designing a space for long term, like the building part of it, what are some of the things that come into your mind for that?
So I think because I see different community builders with different attitudes. Okay, I see very different attitudes, and I feel right that when you're, especially at the beginning, right, where you're thinking the hardest about your community, you stare at a blank canvas, thinking, what do I fill this with, right? And the instinct, which is very natural, is to fill it with everything. More ripples, more scenes, more layers, more content, more actions, more effects. And in a way, it's because like empty feels like, oh, I'm failing in some way. But the thing is, like, a community with 20 rooms and barely any activity in any of them isn't full. It's just lonely in 20 different ways. And so to me, like, and we see that as well, right? I call it the empty castle. And so to me, like, intentional design is not about how much you build, it's about whether every single thing you build, has a reason to exist. And it turns out, I feel there's an order to things, right? Where you start like small, because the most important thing to begin with is what you bring to the table, how you're going to serve. Well, actually, the most important thing is like, what are people who join your room? What are they trying to accomplish? What is their job? What do you want them to help them with? And so, like, if you start from that point of view of actually saying, what do I want to do that would help them make some progress in any way? What are they trying to accomplish? And then you begin to think, what can I provide to help them to do that? And then the next thing would be, to me, which ties, I guess, even in what I'm trying to do with Rippily. I obviously, like, I have an experience in lean startup, right? And one thing I learned about, and I will repeat it like to forever, is this kind of idea of activation, retention, referral, then acquisition, then revenue. And this is, I guess, for the people, in some ways, for people who want to get the connection, but also wants to make a business about this. The idea there is build for the first 5 minutes, build for the first 10 minutes, build for the first time they actually join your community. That would be activation. What is their first time experience? So I'll give you an example, right? We just went live basically with Rippily, and I've been working really, really hard, with the payment system. I haven't, and can I say it already? We have more than 60 people on Rippily today, subscriptions. Okay, so yeah, exactly. No ads whatsoever. This is really transition from 0 to payments in a week with 0 ads, right? And considering the number of beta testers we have, like, it's quite incredible. Now, why am I not going left and right in link? I'm beginning. I just created like a profile now on LinkedIn, but the idea is I'm a little bit hesitant to really to spread as fast as I can, because there is some parts of acquisition, of activation, which is their first time experience. I mean, it works really well if you have your community and you're inviting people just to a Ripple. You give people like a Ripple address, and you have like a webinar style, or you invite people to join for whatever. But if you're creating already like a protected community where you have members, you invite them, it's a bit funky right now. That's the part I'm fixing. That has priority over everything else, because the problem is, if I invite someone who is already in Rippily, no problem. But if I invite someone who is outside Rippily within a membership, it's not a great experience. It's still a bit broken. In my language, I committed a sin against humanity by allowing, a non-perfect, a less than excellent user experience right now. I mean, there's a lot of motivations for that, but that's the idea. So I know I need to work on the activation. Because I have a lot of features that, we talked about the streak. That's retention. Okay, that's a little thing, but it is retention. And of course, like from the community point of view, we think in terms of different ways, right? And then in the future, there will be referral. I know people are asking about referral engines and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, it's also already a baked-in referral system within Rippily, right? Because by virtue of the fact that you're going to have an event and inviting others, they come in contact with Rippily. That's a form of referral, okay? So again, all the time, I think in those terms: activation, retention, referral. When those three work really well, then it's time to go acquisition, tell everybody, and then eventually revenue. You know what I mean? I think you need to think in your community the same way. You do some experiments with a small community, with just a few people. You play around and you say, okay, what is their first time experience? Can I improve that? Are they coming back? Are they excited to tell others? When all those three components are done, then you can spread the word, right?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot to think about. And I did notice that when you sort of really quickly went down that list of, the order in which things are done, retention came before revenue. We're thinking about the user experience and how long they're going to be around, and longevity of it, before we ever think about, some of the other things as well. And so just something to keep in mind. I have another poll that I'm going to be asking the audience while we have a quick break to look at the Rippily Dive that happens every Saturday. Could you realistically, thinking right now about what you're building, could you realistically maintain what you're currently building long term? That is the question. Could you realistically maintain what you're currently building where it is right now long term? Yes, it's designed to be sustainable mostly, but I may need to simplify. Probably not. It's already a lot. Some of us may or may not have been there. And I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Those are your answers. And with that, I want to invite everybody to join us every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the Rippily Dive. I know that Miss Debbie has joined us for the Rippily Dive. I know Claudio loves the dive. He loves getting the badges as well. And coming up this weekend, we are going to be taking a really deep dive into snapshots. I think is what we're going to do, because we've got some new folks, and there's actually a lot more that we can do with snapshots than I think people even realize. So take a look at this, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody. Has the audience all participated in the poll? The next poll that's over in the chat. You got about 40 seconds left to do it. While we're waiting on the poll to complete, Debbie, how do you feel about that question? Do you feel like you can maintain what you're building long term? How is that working out for you at the moment?
I definitely feel that I can maintain it long term. And I will be doing assessments along the way to see if there's any additions or any changes that I need to be done. But I'm focused, and I'm just excited.
Yeah,
it's definitely long term, and I want the world to know about it. I want the world to experience it.
Well, let's talk about that for just a minute, because that was the other part of what you were sharing earlier. We obviously talk about the design of things where longevity is concerned, but I really think that checking in with ourselves is one of the most important things, because a lot of people feel like they can create a community and it's set it and forget it. And I don't think that that's realistic at all. Can you tell us a little bit, Debbie, about what does an assessment look like for you?
So I look at, and I'll probably do some type of survey of my community. And it's important to find out what it is they need and what it is they want. Because sometimes I think we just say, we're going to put this in place and this is what I'm going to provide. But it may not necessarily be what your audience or what your community needs. As you grow, they grow. And so as you grow and as they grow, you sometimes have to implement changes. Change doesn't have to be bad. Change is never, I think change is good. Change promotes growth. It promotes expansion. Claudio, are you mimicking me?
No, I was kind of thinking about this. There is one thing I always say, that, people want to improve, but improvement without change is impossible.
Absolutely.
We all want to improve, but, and so some change may be not so good, right? And some change can be good, but for sure, if you want to improve, you got to change. And so I'm fairly happy to change, with the risk that some change is maybe not necessarily in the direction that ends up to be a good thing, but I know I need to do it anyway.
And it's also okay to make a mistake. It's okay to, step out and maybe it's not the direction that you should have gone in. You can just reel yourself back and implement what needs to be implemented. Because after all, we're not perfect.
I totally agree with you, Debbie. And in fact, if we think about how Rippily got to be developed, right? It really comes from the development of another community that we had before, Branch Hackers, right? In another platform. And I remember when I launched that community, right? I wasn't sure if I was ready to commit myself for a lifetime community, because lifetime is a long time, right? And so what I did was I did start an experiment. It was a 3-month experiment. So this is maybe another idea for people, like to say, don't launch a community right away. What you could do is try a workshop, try, something. Jessica, I believe you're doing a workshop tomorrow. Am I wrong? Is that tomorrow or
no, next week? Next week.
Next week. Okay. Yeah. So for example, you need to try things, right? You could try like one day, see if people love what you're doing. And if they do, maybe that leads to the next experiment, right? You could maybe try a community, but just for 3 months. And then eventually, if you see that it's something that you like and they like, because this is 2 ways. They need to like it, but you also need to like it yourself. You may realize by doing it and thinking, this sucks. I don't want to spend my Saturdays doing this or whatever. And honestly, I run brain chakras as an experiment when I did.
Yeah, I mean, so I did something similar at the start of the year where I committed to 3 months and I said, okay, I want to see how this goes. And it went really well, but there were a lot of shifts that needed to happen. So because I had just said, okay, this is going to be a 3-month container, then now I'm free to make those shifts and begin again and do something different. And I see a lot of chatter in the chat about, is it a mistake or is it an experiment with learning, opportunities for learning. I mentioned this the other day to someone, way back in the first show that I had, a live stream show that I had ever done. I had a guest by the name of Miha Matlievsky, who had a group called Fail Forward. And it was all about failing intentionally. And we kind of have to get these preconceived notions about words out of our head, that mistakes or failure are some sort of bad thing, because it's what we decide to do with it. It's how we process it. That's the real challenge, I think, sometimes. So I think any time that we can learn something, no matter how that lesson happened, I think is a really good thing. So let's head over really quickly and finish up our conversation today. So Debbie, tell all the people what it is that you do in your business. And also, I wanted you to tell the studio audience what they're getting in their swag bag today from you. We need to unmute you, Debbie.
So I believe I need to unmute. I believe that AI is not going away. And so I believe that, and when I say this is no offense to the gentleman, but my philosophy is no woman left behind, because there's so many people that are afraid of AI. And so I want to make sure that no one is left behind. So I teach workshops. I've recorded courses and different things to make sure that people are comfortable. They can come into the space. They can leave feeling confident. And so that is what I do. And so what I have created for our audience today is an app that does an audit of your site, of your Rippily site. And it asks you different questions to make sure that you have all the components in place. And it also gives you a prompt that you can use and tools that you can use going forward for your site. And so it's an audit of your site.
Love it. We're so excited. And even though we know that you do focus on the ladies in your business, anybody can use the gift, right?
Absolutely. It's non-gender specific.
Love it. Love it. And for all of you in the studio audience, this swag bag today is actually the biggest one that we have ever had. It includes all the gifts from Dr. CK, from Sang D, from Peggy McCartha, from myself, from Coach Jeter, from who else am I? Tanya Fisher. It has all of the gifts in there from the entire month of April. So if you are sitting over on YouTube or in the gallery going, I'm sad now, you can actually apply to be in the audience as well, because we have some really super fun gifts that come into our swag bag, and I will be sharing that in the chat with everybody once the show is over. Okay, any final thoughts on our topic today? Claudio, I'm gonna let you go first.
Start with less, I guess. You can always add, and you can't easily take away, right? So let the community grow into something based on the behavior. Basically, you start building based on how the community behave. But yeah, start with less.
Love that. Love that. What about you, Coach Debbie? Final thoughts on building for longevity?
It's not just about building impressive sites. It's about building a space where people will return to again, again, and again.
Love it. Love it.
Yes, it's even in my landing page. I love it.
Look how branded we are today. Well done. Well done. Well, this is such a great topic, and it is definitely something for everybody to think about. And I think my tip for everybody would just be to think about why people are there and why they're coming into the space that you've created for them, and what would make them want to come before you even start building. Get a good, write it down, think about it. Because like Claudio said, sometimes it is a lot easier to start with less and build on than it is to build something giant and then go, now what do I do with all of this? So I want to give you guys a little preview of what's to come for the month of May. Who's excited to learn about our May topics for the Rippily Show? All right, we are going to be diving into specific use cases, designing spaces that actually work. In our first episode, we're going to talk about, speaking of auditing, we're going to be talking about the pre-build audit before you build, doing these things. And then we're going to go into the topic of co-working spaces, consistency and flow, classes, workshop, and teaching spaces, open discussion spaces, and roundtables. And we're going to end May talking about events, expos, open houses versus self-led spaces. So we've got a jam-packed month of May, and it's all going to be leading up to, I want to mention, we have an amazing event coming up in June called the Global Business Expo. It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
Another big group. Yes, let's test the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I almost fainted just now.
And Miss Debbie, you're going to be part of the expo too, right?
Yes.
Very excited.
Yes.
Excited to see. Have you started working on your booth?
I have.
I did a little something too. I've been behind on it, but it helps when we have those of us that come together and encourage each other. Have you done anything yet? No? Okay, get moving. Get moving. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Coach Debbee Jeter, everybody. Let's put our hands together. Thank you so much for being here today and bringing us such clarity and always a grounded wisdom into this conversation today. All of that we talked about, it's not just how your space looks, not just how it runs, not just even how safe it feels, but whether it's actually aligned with the experience that you're trying to create, whether it's something that you can maintain, whether it's something people actually want to come back to. And that's what this whole month of conversation has really been about, designing with intention. Now, I want to invite you to come back here with us next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of The Rippily Show. And don't forget, in the meantime, to check out all of the amazing things over in Rippily Central. Book your demo if you haven't had a demo yet. Go check out Explore Rippily, where you can have lots of lessons that have been put together for you. Go check out The Dive every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time and come and build something with us. But there's lots there right at your fingertips inside Rippily Central. So go check that out as well. Claudio, thank you as well for being back with us again today. Always good to have the founder with us here on the show.
Sounds important.
I love it. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and we'll see you next time to experience more of what's possible here on The Rippily Show. Have a good day, everybody. everybody. That's a wrap. Well done.